I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Be afraid. Be very afraid. Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of It Came From the 80s, hosted by the Nerf Herders. It's a gathering of old friends who try to stay cool in the 21st century while reliving our childhood dreams. I'm your host, Carter, and joining us as always on the podcast is Ray, the critic after the credits. And rounding out our trio is Jason, the token millennial resident nerd and that jackass that won't shut up. So, guys, what's on the agenda this week? All right, so Mac and Me. Yeah.
What was that? Are you trying to call your family?
That was the,
Are you trying to call your family?
I can't even do it. I keep laughing.
That was the butthole mouth alien.
Hey,
That was part Stretch Armstrong.
Good. God.
Hold on. How did we come upon this movie? Wasn't it your wife, Jason?
Yes.
Why did your wife want us to watch this movie?
She watched it as a kid. But honestly, I think what made it me even the only reason I even care anything about Mac and Me is because of Paul Rudd. So I brought it up last week. I don't know if any of y'all watched the video or not. There's a running gag with Paul Rudd on Conan O'Brien every time he gets on there for any movie he's in to like, you know, promo it. Instead of showing the movie, he shows the scene from Mac and Me where Eric falls off the side of a cliff into a giant reservoir of water below, and Mac just kind of pops up like, "Oh, geez!"
Listen, that was the best part of the whole movie to me.
No, it wasn't. I
Yes,
disagree. No.
Yes, it was.
was.
Okay, here's the thing though. Like, so he goes looking for Mac, right? And he goes through.
Right. Time out. The best part of the movie were the end credits. Okay, continue.
Okay. So he goes looking for Mac through this thing, which, by the way, should we be telling people we saw Mac and Me? I know they should have listened last week.
Yeah. So let's start this off right. Jason, tell us about Mac and Me.
Yes. So Mac and Me is a movie that came out in 1988, directed by Stuart Raffle, and was written by him and some other dude. The only other thing, in doing some research on Stuart Raffle, that anybody would probably care about was the fact that he did a great 90s movie, Passenger 57.
Ooh.
He was the writer on that. And he's also the director of Ice Pirates, another great 80s movie I'll be picking here shortly thereafter.
That's a good movie. I'll give you that.
And there's also another one called High Risk that came out in the 80s. Maybe we'll pick that one at some other point. That's really all he's known for. Anyway, movie in general, you know, it's about this kid named Eric who is paralyzed and is bound to a wheelchair, and he's got his mother and his brother and I think sister. I don't remember. I'm assuming that's a sister. I really, the movie is so bad I couldn't. The first 45 minutes of the movie are awful. They could just cut out that and it just started from there.
He doesn't have a sister.
Oh, he doesn't have a sister? Okay, I couldn't remember.
That was his next door neighbor.
That was the next door neighbor that chases after him going down the hill? Okay.
Yeah, next door neighbor.
So anyway, it's about him, and basically Mac shows up when him and his family are on some other planet. A satellite lands on the planet, and they get vacuum sucked in by a probably 8 diameter inch tube inside the satellite pod and sent back to Earth. And then they're running around Earth trying to survive, and they escape. Everybody's after him, and Mac gets separated. He's the baby of the family.
Time out.
Eric.
Did they escape or did they just walk out? Like, I didn't. That's another thing I couldn't really understand.
I don't really.
There was no escaping.
Yeah,
there were guns pointed at them, but they just walked out. So don't say they escaped. They just walked out. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Agreed. So anyway, and they try to find Mac's family, and there's adventure that ensues after that.
How did it now? Okay, I'm sorry. Continue.
I mean, that's really it in a nutshell. I mean, I'm not
Thank
going to recap the whole movie.
No.
I don't want to torture everybody else. I mean, the movie's an hour and 39 minutes, and it's
hold on. Go ahead.
An hour and probably 30 minutes, an hour too long. I don't know. It was bad.
Listen, that was the longest Coke / McDonald's commercial I've ever seen in my
Oh,
life.
the product placement was on point.
Yes, Ronald McDonald showing up. We had 2 dance numbers.
Too
The
damn.
Black Eyed Peas were in the parking lot. It was great.
That was not the Black Eyed Peas.
Not
It
to
might as well
mention the creepy ass teddy bear that was Mac at the McDonald's dancing on the countertop.
right. Like
He had new microchips put in him. That's why he's so advanced.
Oh my goodness! And he could just dance. He was just that skilled.
Oh
of a
yeah, he
dancer.
just starts breaking out like tap dancing and oh, it's bad, man. It's bad. I mean, I'm gonna put some of these photos up on Facebook, hopefully, if I get the chance. But I mean, oh gosh, I don't even know where to start with the movie. Let's just start at the beginning of it. Basically, once he's Mac and Eric are making contact, which by the way,
how does he get the name Mac?
I don't I honestly don't remember.
His brother, after they sucked him up in the he told some. Okay, so his brother said something about the
girl works at McDonald's, Big Mac. I remember.
No, was that it? Because all I know is they said about an alien driving under the influence, right? And then they called him a Mac, which is a something alien creature.
Oh yeah, it's a mysterious alien creature.
That's what it was. Yeah, he called him that. He called that to his brother, and his brother's like, "What is?" He called him Mac, and he's like, "What's Mac?" And he's like, "It's a mysterious alien creature." That's how he got the name Mac.
All right.
Okay.
So anyway, just getting into the movie. I'll have to say this too: the kid that played Eric, Jade Caligari, I think is how you say it. He actually had spinal bifida, so it wasn't like he was acting. He was really bound to a wheelchair.
I'm glad you told me that.
So I thought that was kind of interesting because you don't usually, this day and age, there is some genuineness there, but there's also a lot of, BS, we'll say. Anyway, it was rated one of the worst movies, but the movie kind of starts out, they're moving into the house, and then all of a sudden they like start just seeing Mac showing up randomly and stuff. But I think that's funny to me is it's like a couple of days pass, and the kid's wakes up and his car's dancing around by itself, and he wheelchairs himself out in the hallway, and all of a sudden it's in Discord. Mac has a power drill and just starts boring holes through the wall, and it's like a horror scene movie where you just see this massive auger coming through the wall, and he's staring at it. And then we have another hole, and then we have eyes. And then we proceed. Now, what's funny is everybody in the house is asleep through all this. We proceed. He goes to the front door where Mac somehow gets a hold of a power saw and is sawing the door open in chunks to then be seen as well. It's very absurd. And even before that, Mac gets blown away by a helicopter leaving the military base, and he's holding onto the fence. And it's like he stretches out, Stretch Armstrong style, like 8 feet long, and then gets slapped on a car as a pancake. It's just lots of bad cinematography and usage all around. I mean, it's so bad it's almost good in a way because you can make fun of it. Especially, and I hate saying it because of how they did Eric with the wheelchair. He's being chased by the FBI at some point, and he's going down a main road with cars. And if you pause it, and again, it's in Discord, I'll share it with everybody, you can actually see the dummy in the wheelchair being hit by a car, and they cut it back to him being avoiding the car.
Listen, I called Jason earlier, and I was like, how does no one catch this kid in a wheelchair? Like, nobody does. Then he hits you with the Marty McFly and grabs a truck. And
the family comes by in the truck and grabs him to get him away from the FBI. And then the brother who can pick up him plus a wheelchair.
I wouldn't even talk about that part. That's at the end of the chase. I'm talking about the part where he's actually before he gets to the mall where his mom works at. He grabs a truck. And it's like Marty McFly's it. You know how Marty McFly would grab a car and ride with a skateboard? He grabbed a truck, and it's like carrying him with his wheelchair, but the people are still behind him like a good 45 feet. They're not losing any ground. I was like, come on, you guys are that fast, but you're not fast enough to catch a kid in a wheelchair.
It's the forearms, man. He's got Popeye strength. He ate a spinach.
That's just ridiculous.
So, anyway, the movie overall, my kids were watching it, and they're like, "Can I watch this?" I was like, "I don't care." They're like, "I liked it. Why don't you like it?" I'm like, "It's just bad." I mean, it's just not a good.
It had no redeeming qualities. That's why.
No. I mean, the kid gets beaten up so many times in the wheelchair. He falls off a cliff. The dummy gets hit by a car. The end of the movie, we have a shootout with the aliens who steal booze and firearms from police officers and blow up a car. Well, they didn't steal it. He just grabs the gun and they walk out with a box full of booze. It looks like.
I thought it was just Coke.
It may have been Coke. It was PG-13 and it's the 80s, so you never know. And then of course an explosion breaks out. Again, pause the movie. It's about 1 minute and 25 or an hour and 25 minutes and 41 seconds in. And literally they filmed an explosion and then superimposed a black, like a little cardboard cutout of Eric sitting there leaning backwards, knocked unconscious from the explosion. And then they pan into the aliens in the fire and it looks like something from like, the demons of hell are approaching us. It just it's
I mean, how the people that put this movie together were never sued by Steven Spielberg is beyond me.
Yeah. Hey, domestic total gross was $6 million.
Wow, that's
opening weekend was $2 million. So that means it made $4 million after opening weekend somehow.
McDonald's, I'm telling you, like, listen, I've never been to a lit birthday party like that.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
I mean, from the outside to the inside, everybody was dancing. Everybody had fresh nuggets. Like there was no line for fries. They were kicking it. And then Ronald gave us a couple 2 steps. I'm like, man, I don't know where they live. Were they in California or something like that from Illinois?
Like Sacramento, I thought.
Wherever it was, that's where I want to be because they kicked it at the local McDonald's. It was ridiculous.
I'm gonna tell you what. That's the one thing that I got really pumped about watching was the McDonald's scene because I remember going into McDonald's and you'd get the Happy Meal, you'd get the cool toy, and the toys back then were freaking awesome. The Transformer burgers and stuff, and then you always got the box of cookies and you could pick between the different boxes of cookies and stuff. It was so awesome. And then at Halloween you had the trick or treat buckets and stuff.
Does McDonald's still have the fried pies?
Yeah, they still do. There's still liquid magma on the inside.
Did you know that they actually they're made in Oklahoma? Did not know that, did you? Yeah. McDonald's pies are actually made in Oklahoma.
I know the chicken patty is.
Yeah, see? There you go. Did you also know the older sister in this movie? Because they had the younger sister and the older sister. It looks like the older sister was, let me make sure I get this right. She was the original Kelly Bundy in the unaired plot of Married with Children.
I didn't know that. Did not know that at all. I know some other interesting facts about the movie is
it sucked.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston was in the movie.
What? Where?
Unaccredited.
Where?
I don't know. I found it on the internet. Power of the internet, my friend.
I mean, here's my problem with the movie. I don't know where to start.
She was at McDonald's as a dancer, uncredited. As is Nikki Cox, Gigi Hunter, Dominic Lucero.
What were you gonna say? People. Go ahead.
So tell me about what you didn't like. There's a lot to not like about this.
Well,
movie.
Sure. I mean, the concept of space travel for one, and that's the problem when we go to another planet and invade and bring them back to Earth. Is the time it takes for that to happen. I mean, this movie's shot in the 80s, obviously took place in the 80s, so that spacecraft we would have had to have launched probably around the 1930s for it to go to a planet, because it didn't go to Mars. It went some other planet with rings and whatever to collect specimens and come back. So the
way the aliens looked, they could have came from Uranus too.
That's true. They had Uranus on their face. The time that shuttle would have had to travel it blows my mind. So anyway,
hold on. Your first grievance with this movie is about the space travel aspect of it.
Yes.
That's it. The first thing you watched this movie about, you saw was the space travel.
Other than the fact that it looked like shitty puppeteering and the guy would just run around and stick straws in the ground to try to find water.
And whistle randomly.
And
I couldn't figure out if we were trying to summon Lassie or what.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I have to go back to this. So let's go back to the fact that this kid falls off a cliff, right?
Hold on. No. I'll get to that point.
Okay, cool. Because I have to bring this up. Go ahead.
So yeah, that's problem number one. Problem number two is the elasticity of these people and the vacuum cleaner of death that NASA has at its disposal to vacuum just humans or animals into vapor, brings it back here. And obviously these people, run around and create a lot of electrostatic discharge, so everything they touch with electricity blows up. So the whole concept, and like we talked about earlier, the escape, they didn't escape, they just walked out, and the guy kind of bobblehead walkie walks out. It's just, I tried to finish it. I really could, but after the McDonald's birthday party, I was done. So
that's when the movie got good to me. The movie got remotely interesting there. And other than that, it's like, oh, we're just this family. Oh, we're some aliens. Oh, we're moving in, and this and that, and it was like, okay, there's a dance scene, and then there's a chase, and then there's a problem and a resolution and a conflict and all those things. Up until then, it was just way too much plot.
And then the other thing that I was like, this movie is so full of crap. When they go on, the mom and Eric go on the little jog, and then Mac gets in the Tonka truck and is running around.
Oh, dude, when he's running down the road in the Tonka truck, that was awesome.
They went downhill quite a bit,
didn't they?
And so I don't want to be rude or insensitive, but at some point they're going to have to get that wheelchair back uphill.
I thought the same thing.
I'm like, are they going to call the brother to come pick them up? What's going to happen? Because they went downhill forever. So anyway, yeah, it was a bad movie, dude. It was bad.
No, I was thinking the same, because she's like, let's go to and how do you go from, hey, let's go to the next house driveway? No, I want to go all the way downhill. And they went all the way down. They basically went to the freeway, which I don't even know how far the freeway is from the house, but it had to be amazing. Like, I'm going to give you for instance, I'm sitting here watching Forrest Gump right now when Lieutenant Dan is in the wheelchair and he goes down this little hill because it's full of ice, right? And he can't stop. Like, I feel like that's, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like that it'd be more trouble getting him back up that little hill than they made it seem for them to run and get him back up the hill. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, and then they just show back up at the house. Like nothing happened. I'm like, how did he get back that quick? It was ridiculous. But I still have to bring this up. I'm sorry. I'm going to bring this up. When the kid goes downhill, right? When he's looking for Mac and they leave the gate open, he can roll back there. He tries to stop, right? You know what I'm talking about? He tries to stop as he starts rolling down the hill.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he hits his brakes and the brakes break. Like, isn't that a good thing that brake broke? Because if it wouldn't have, like, he was going way too fast to just stop. He would have tumbled, broke his neck, and still ended up in the water.
Speaking of it, let's just talk about that whole scene when he's falling and stuff. Like, you can never make a movie like that this day and age. You would have so many people riding over the, exploitation of somebody in a wheelchair and how he falls, and just so many just bad things about that too. You could never get away with half the stuff in this movie.
I agree.
I will say this: the next time I'm in town with you guys, I'm gonna stand up in an airport, and hopefully y'all can stand there, and I'm gonna make a heart-shaped hand and start whistling, and hopefully you'll find me.
Oh, we will. We'll know exactly where you're at. Carter, where you at? No, Carter. We lost Carter for a second.
He's muted.
Yeah,
he's having a hard time because I keep posting pictures inside of Discord of the movie.
I'm here.
Yeah, that just, like I said, he would have broke his neck though if that break.
The fall, everything, the whole thing. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, he fell, and it's like, damn, he fell like 100 feet.
I know. Who has that kind of a cliff off their backyard too, and they don't have a fence up or anything else?
Yeah, and then so
Mom's all proud that she bought a house that's handicap accessible, but then has that sort of crap backyard.
Cliff of death on it.
Yeah.
So Jason, this would have been a lot funnier if I wouldn't have known that he really was an actor in a wheelchair, because like there were a couple of scenes I was like, first of all, he's strong enough to fall all the way down that cavern, right, into the water, but then swim back up a little bit tied to the chair still. Like
There's
I
just
was
so
like,
many,
I thought
so many gaps.
because Christina was like, was he buckled in the chair? And I was like, no, he can't be buckled in the chair because he wouldn't have swum up that quick. But then when Mac jumps in and pulls him and the chair, and I was like, okay, I guess he
Telling
was.
me, bro, it's forearms.
Dude,
He's got some guns.
I guess so. And then okay, see, I was gonna say it, but then I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm still gonna say it. In my head, I'm like, okay, so kid gets blown up, right? And he's just laying there and he's dead. And then the aliens come and they do their little heart-shaped whistle and somehow they get magic and they bring him back to life, right?
Yeah, they have.
In my
That's
head.
the other thing too.
Yeah, in my head, I was like, this can't be real because you mean to tell me you can bring it back to life, but you can't make him use his legs anymore? Like, you can't fix that part too?
You can't heal him. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. And then I was like, oh, and then you tell me that he really is like that. So you crushed my dreams of the aliens fixing his legs. So thanks.
I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna make my gamer picture Mac in the Power Wheel.
Go right
president.
ahead.
Just,
Yeah.
That thing's so like his face is just awesome. I can't figure out in that pic those scenes too. Are those people? I mean, some of those have to be people in some type of suit, but one, those are some very skinny people. Or two, those are just surprisingly decent puppeteering work. I couldn't tell.
I thought it was people the whole time.
I don't know. But you know what makes the movie the best thing ever?
The sad thing is, I know a guy that looks like this. That's the bad thing.
Oh gosh, that's terrible. But you know what the most redeeming quality of the movie is, guys?
The credits.
What I just put in Discord. The Mac family become U.S. citizens.
You know,
I end up driving around in a caddy, a pink caddy. I'm pretty
I
sure
thought
it's a
about
Cadillac.
that. I was like, I wonder how Carter feels about these illegal aliens coming in and actually being sworn in at the end.
Well, they're in California. It's it's a
Oh, okay, it's a liberal state. So
well, yeah, it's
Yeah, it is a pink Cadillac, by the way.
sanctuary state. So I'm not surprised.
I laughed hard at that part.
So anyway, I just thought the movie was terrible, but it's so terrible that it's a good watch movie. You kind of have to. It's one of those movies like you just got to watch it, just because it's a rite of passage.
I'm not gonna lie. So I was actually driving back from Dallas, and I was bored. And when you hit the border before you get to Oklahoma City, so the border from Texas to Oklahoma City, that's just a super boring drive. So I actually put it on the phone right there on the dash, and me and my wife, as I was driving back, it actually kept me entertained enough to get me home. So I do thank
Probably
Mac
shouldn't
for
have filed for
that.
divorce afterwards.
No, she thought it was hilarious too. Like we just took turns making fun of the movie. So
Oh yeah, it's one of those movies you just got to watch to make fun of. So Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 0%. 37% of the audience liked it. So there's 37% of people out there that actually like this movie.
So what does that mean? The other 63% left the movie theater? What does that mean?
They just that means 63% of the people that contributed to a vote on Rotten Tomatoes hated it or didn't like it. So it won a Razzie for worst picture ever, worst director ever. The redeeming qualities of this movie is the Coke McDonald's adding into it. Paul Rudd, I think, made this movie somewhat entertaining again for some people, just because of that scene right there that he always uses as his clip. But
I mean, I wouldn't say it's the worst movie I've ever seen. It's close.
I mean, I would rather watch this over Masters of the Universe.
You're nuts. You are absolutely nuts.
No,
Masters of the Universe is way better than this.
Garbage.
You're
they are
garbage.
making a new one, so we'll see if that's going to be any good.
I don't have faith in it.
It's got to be better than the last one.
No. No.
All right. Well, that was my pick, guys. Carter, what you're going to pick next week?
All right. Finally, I'm going to have a little fun with the group here. Ray kind of taking some samplings off his last pick with a coming of age movie. I picked a classic 1980s. I don't know what do you call it? Not a erotic film or anything, but a film that
softcore.
It's not softcore. I don't know. One of those 1980s
dirty movies.
Dirty movies.
Whoa.
Thank you.
I
Dirty
picked
movie.
Teen Wolf. What are you talking about?
So, I picked a movie, classic 80s movie called Porky's.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Kim
What?
Cattrall. My goodness.
Yeah, buddy.
Kim Cattrall. Like, isn't that her first movie? Like, she's been the same actress basically in every movie except for Big Trouble in Little China, right? she's
I don't know.
You don't know what?
I don't know. Only thing I know her from is Big Trouble in Little China.
What else was she in?
Sex
don't
and the
know.
City?
Yeah, I don't know that, but
Every movie in this movie right here, every movie she's in, she's basically Samantha.
how'd you pull Kim Cattrall out of that so fast? I'm impressed.
Because
Secret crush.
Because that scene. What are you
Oh.
talking about?
Well, yeah, the best.
The
Get her
best-
up in the men's locker room scene. Yeah, buddy.
Yes. What are you talking about?
I'm gonna admit to you, I've never seen Porky's.
Oh,
I've seen
Um,
the title. I know there's like a sequel. There's a couple of them, aren't
There's
there?
like
Isn't
two or
Yeah.
three.
I think it's like
It's like
two.
the Nerds movies. There's like 2 or 3. of them.
Porky's 2, I think, is the better of the series because there's oh my god, there's a scene where they're I forgot the whole thing, but this guy's painted up like a zombie or a corpse, and he's running around chasing the guys, and he's like, ooh, boogie boogie boogie, ooh, boogie boogie, and I mean, it's hilarious. All right, guys. So, we got to watch that classic 80s pile of crap, Mac and Me. Thanks, Jason's wife, for the pick. That was not enjoyable. Almost like, going to see a proctologist. Next week, I hope to lighten the mood with Porky's. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for, listening to our podcast. Couple notes. I mean, we changed our Twitter handle now. We are called at Nerfherder Radio, so you can find us there. Go ahead and tweet us, give us a like, give us a follow, give us suggestions, tell us if you like the content, if you like the changes, if you want us to go back to talk about news or what. We're still trying to think about how we're going to work that in, maybe doing a midweek live cast on Facebook. So we're tossing some ideas around between the group, but as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
May the force be with you.
Seize the day.
I'll be back.
Take a knife to the back.
You can be my wingman anytime. Bullshit. You can be mine.